So as you can see, our next B4 assignment from group B. Now, up till now, what we did, we had used the Lex programming language, and we had created the first phase of compiler, that is lexical analyzer, right? Now, we are going to use Yak specifications, that means the Yak language, and we are going to develop the second phase of compiler, that is syntax analyzer. Okay, so whatever tokens were created in the first phase of lexical analysis, those tokens, as we know, are submitted to the second phase, that is to the syntax analyzer. And then based on the rules of the syntax analyzer, rules which are imposed on the tokens, based upon those rules, the syntax analyzer is going to decide whether the statement is correct or not, whether it is valid statement according to the rules or not. And how do we specify the rules in syntax analysis? I mean, in Yak, which is used for syntax analysis, we are specifying the rules in the form of grammar, right? You must have studied the context-free grammar in TSC. So the same grammar we are using to implement the syntax analyzer. Understood? So here in assignment B4, what we are expected? We are expected to take a declaration statement as input from the user, and then we need to check whether the statement, I mean the variable declaration, is as per the Java, I mean it is correct according to the Java declaration or not, right? So you have to check the type, whether it is valid or not, and then the other syntax that we have for variable declaration in Java, right? So this is what we are going to do in B4 practical. Fine. Okay. So let us see what is this Yak firstly. Right? We saw what is the Lex tool. Lex tool is used to generate our own lexical analyzer. Similarly, our Yak tool is used to create our own syntax analyzer. That means a parser. Syntax analyzer is nothing but a parser. Okay. So what this Yak stands for? It is yet another compiler, right? That is what the full form of Yak is. And as we discussed, syntax analysis, which is nothing but called as the parsing phase. It is the second phase of the compiler, which will take tokens as input from the lexical analysis, and it will generate a syntax tree as output. Understood? So it is going to generate a syntax tree as output. And Yak tool, as I told, we used to generate the LALR parser. Now, what is this LALR parser? Look ahead from left to right, right? So when we are verifying the syntax of the variable declaration that we have to do in this program, we are going to look from the left side towards the right side. So that is called as LALR parser. Understood? So if you remember, uh, when you studied context-free grammar, you must have used both the methods, left substitution and right substitution, right? So the left substitution is considered more accurate and it covers more words of a given language. So that is why this LALR parser is more often used. And this parser is implemented by the Yak tool. Okay, that is why we use the Yak tool more often whenever we have to create our own syntax analyzer. Clear? Fine. Yeah, like we saw the diagram in the Lex program. So similar diagram, whatever input expression we are providing from the source code, that is given to the lexical analyzer. Now, lexical analyzer along with the tokens will have another input as the Lex program, right? In which we have defined the patterns. Now, using this Lex program and the tokens which we are providing from the, the expression which we are providing from the source code, the lexical analyzer will form tokens, right? And these tokens are fed as input to the syntax analyzer. Another input to the syntax analyzer is the Yak program, which specifies the grammar rules. Yak program specifies the grammar rules. Now, depending upon these rules and the tokens on which the rules are applied, it is going to generate a syntax tree. So the output of syntax analyzer will be a syntax tree. Understood? Now, and then further it will generate the lower level code, whatever is required, right? That is not our concern. Understood this flow? So, like last time we saw, the Lex compiler was accepting the .l file. Here the Yak compiler is going to accept the .y file. Okay, the file in which we have defined all the grammar rules. So that is nothing but the .y file, and as an output we are going to get uh, .tab.c file. Okay, so whatever is the name of .y file, here it is translate.y, right? So the name of the .c file will be translate.tab.c. Understood? So here you can read Yak tool will accept a Yak program, that means the .y file, and it will generate a C code in the file .tab.c. Okay, whatever is the name of your Yak file, .tab.c will be the output file name. Got this? As usual, this .c file is submitted to the C compiler as input, and we get the executable file a.out file, which is nothing but our syntax analyzer. Last Lex program, it was the lexical analyzer. Now this will be our syntax analyzer. And when we execute it by providing a Java variable declaration in, we will get the result, whether it is a valid input according to the grammar or not. Understood the flow, understood the use of each file. Now, along with the tab.c file, this Yak compiler is also going to generate tab.h file, the header file. Okay, so whatever is the name, suppose it is translate.y, so two files will be generated, translate.tab.c and translate.tab.h. Understood? Now, why that .h file is required, we'll see in a while when we discuss the example. Any doubt by far? Anyone? Understood why we are doing Lex programming? Sorry, Yak programming, just to create a syntax analyzer. Okay. Now, how does the Yak program look? So it will have more or less the same sections, but the meaning here is different. First is the declaration section, in which we have to include the header files and declare some variables, whatever we require, right? As usual, what we had in the Lex program. The difference between the Lex and the Yak file is the definitions. Now here we have to declare the token codes in the definition section. Okay, how do the token codes look? What are they used for? we'll see in the example. Okay, just remember, we have to declare the token codes over here, right? Percentage, and then you will put the keyword token, and then you will define the tokens, right? In the rules part, in the Lex program, we had translation rules, right? Here we are going to have grammar rules. Okay, whatever grammar rules we want to impose on the tokens, we can put those grammar rules over here. And then finally, we will have the supplementary code. I mean, it will include all the functions which are used uh, in the definition and some mandatory functions like the main function. Understood? So that is called as the supplementary code. Yeah, same things are described over here. Definition section will define all the tokens. If at all some operator precedence is required to be declared, that also will be done in the definition section. Okay. Grammar rule section will specify grammar rules which are to be followed by the syntax analyzer, and supplementary code, this section will hold all the C functions. Okay, before we see how to run this code, we will see the files, right? The sample files that I have prepared. I hope the file is readable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for the Yak program to run, we require both the files, .l file, because the Yak program is going to implement syntax analyzer, but the syntax analyzer will require tokens as in, and who is going to generate it? The lexical analyzer. And how do we implement lexical analyzer? Using the Lex code, right? So both .l and .y file we have to create in this particular practical, right? Okay. So I have created a .l file called as validate.l. Okay, here if you want you can see it quickly. I've put it in on the desktop. This is my .y file, validate.y, and this is validate.l. Okay. Now let us firstly see what we have to put in the .l file. Fine. Okay. Now in Java, uh, how the declaration goes, it will be a data type like int, then the variable name or the identifier, what we call it as, like a, and then a semicolon, or it will be int identifier comma another identifier, and then finally it will have a semicolon, or it might go like this. There should be a space. It might be like this: int, whatever data types we have. I am taking for example as int. Okay, so int space a equals to any value, suppose 5, semicolon, or it may be followed by another identifier then semicolon, or the another identifier is also assigned some value and then a semicolon, right? So whatever syntax we are following for variable declaration over here, you can see all these are to be uh, we have to write grammar rules for all of these. Understood? So whatever are the valid data types, those data types we are putting as a part of pattern, right? If it is int, or it is float, or it is char, or it is double, or it is long, whatever data types you want to specify, you can specify. In that case, we have to return DT. DT stands for data type, right? I'm taking my own token over here, right? Now from where this DT is coming, I'll tell you in a while. Okay, just we'll complete this Lex file and then we'll come to that. Similarly, comma is also used for declaration, right? A comma B we declare. So in that case, if such a pattern is identified, we will return another token called as comma. If we identify a semicolon, we will return capital SC, right? This is the tokens which I have declared somewhere. Where we have declared, I'll tell you. Then apart from this data type, from the symbols, what we have, the actual identifier, the name of the variable. And we know how to identify the name of the variable. We have decided some pattern for it earlier, right? So the same pattern we are using. If such a pattern is found, then we will return ID. ID stands for identifier, fine? Now, if we are initializing at the time of declaration, we will obviously recognize some numeric value, right? And in that case, we are going to return num. If initialization is there, equal to will also be there. And in that case, we are going to return EQ. Understood this? And then we have the wrap function. Why do we use the wrap function? Whatever input we are taking, whether that input has end or not. So when we call the YYLEX, it is constantly going to check whether it is a end of the input or not, right? And once it finds the end of file or end of any streamed input, in that case, it is going to call YYWrap, and it is going to check whether it is actually the input has ended or not. If it ends, YYWrap is going to return 1. If the input is has not end, then YYWrap automatically returns 0. It keeps returning 0. Right? This is the use of YYWrap. Okay, fine. Here, if you see, we haven't specified the main function nor the YYLEX function, right? We haven't called the YYLEX because our program is going to start its execution from the YAK program. Okay, so any doubt by far, whatever we have seen over here, apart from this return token name, whatever we have used. So from where these tokens are coming, we have included a header file over here. You can see validate.tab.h. Remember, I told you while explanation, the YAK compiler is going to generate two files, .tab.c and .tab.h, right? So these tokens which we are using have come from the header file. That is the header file for the validate.y file that we created. Okay, we are going to see that. Okay, so remember that these header files are used for using these tokens in the Lex program. Understood? Okay. Any doubt in the Lex program? Anyone? Understood the use of Lex program? We are simply defining, or we are simply creating tokens from this program, and then these tokens, whatever we are generating, DT, comma, SC, ID, num, EQ, these tokens will be fed as input to the syntax analyzer. That is our YAK program. Clear? Okay, fine. Now, let us see the YAK program. Okay, so here you can see in the Yak, I have told that there is a declaration section in which we have included the header files required, stdio.h and stdlib, because we are using exit 0 function. That is why we require that. Okay. Now here is the definition section, right? Definition section. As I told, definition section starts with percentage, and if we are defining token in the definition section, we write the keyword token. And what is the list of tokens? All these. Now when we compile this .y file with the Yak compiler, I told you the .h file will be generated, and which we are using over here, and that is why these tokens are accessible in this Lex program. Understood? With the help of this .h file. Okay, fine. So that is the definition. We are defining some tokens to be used in the Lex program. Fine. Whatever tokens are returned from the Lex program, right? Whatever tokens are returned, those will be used by the Yak program to, I mean, those tokens will be used to check whether it specifies the grammar rules or not. Now, how do we specify the grammar rules? We have this section for rules, right? And we'll come to that, how to define the grammar rules. Prior to that, understand we have the main function over here. Now, what the main function is going to do? We are going to accept a expression from the user. That is a Java declaration statement we are going to accept. Now, as soon as we accept, the YY-parse function is getting called. Right? What the YY-parse function does, it calls the YY-lex function, and when we call the YY-lex function, the lexical analysis is performed, the tokens are generated, and those are provided to the Lex program. Oh, sorry, the Y program, .y file over here. Understood the flow? Okay. Now once the tokens are generated, whatever expression or whatever declaration is provided by the user, that will be checked against the grammar rules. Okay. So you know, in context-free grammar, we have a start symbol. So by default, the start symbol in the .y file is this start. Okay, you can use any symbol. Now, this is the left side of the rule. We used to use a arrow in context-free grammar, right? So instead of arrow, we are using a colon, right? And what is the right side? DT, that stands for data type, then variable list, and then semicolon. If this format is followed, if this rule is followed by your expression, whatever user entered, then what action we are going to take for this rule? We are going to print valid declaration and we are going to terminate our program. Understood? Understood? So it will be data type, variable name, whatever is the variable name, and followed by a semicolon. Now this var list itself is a symbol, like start was a symbol, right? So this var list will be substituted by some another rule, right? And that rule we are writing here, var list can be substituted by ID. So for example, if you can see over here, I'm typing, if I declare int a semicolon, right? So this a is an identifier which is coming from here. Understood? Okay. If I have a rule, if I have a declaration a equal to 1, right? So in that case, this var list will be replaced by, will be substituted by ID, EQ, and num, right? ID, EQ and num. Understood the how to define the rules? And if we have suppose we had A comma B semicolon, then this particular rule will be applied. Var list will be substituted by var list comma ID, and then this var list will be substituted by ID. We know how grammar rules are evaluated, right? Okay, fine. Now, so we have defined all the rules. And then it is going to print whether it is a valid declaration or not. But if the expression that we are sending as input, if it does not follow any of these rules, then YY error function is going to get executed. Okay. Now what this YY error function does, it allows us to put a error message. So we are just printing error while declaring variable and syntax error. This error message we are printing. Understood? That's all. So the flow will be like this. Your main function will ask you to enter a expression. You will provide a Java declaration statement as input. Then the YY-parse function automatically will call the YY-lex function. It will perform the lexical analysis. All the tokens will be generated and provided as input to the syntax analyzer. That means the .y file. Okay. Now it will check against the rules that we have specified in the .y file, and then it will, if one of the rules is satisfied, it will take the action. Otherwise, it will print the error message. Understood the flow? So that is about the syntax analysis of Java statement. Any doubt? We'll see the execution. Okay, for execution, like we downloaded, so I'm talking about the Windows. Okay, so we had downloaded, okay, let me go to the, yeah. So if you remember, we had downloaded Bison 2.4.1 for Windows I'm talking. Okay, so let us go to the same link, SourceForge, and then we had downloaded this setup, the second setup. Now for Yak program, you will also require the previous setup. Okay, so just double click on it and save the file. I've saved it over here. You can see. Yeah, over here you can see this one, and then run the setup as usual. Right. So while running, so I'll click next, accept, next, and here you have to provide the same by default. It is having program files, but you will remove that program files from here and then click next, 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 and install it. No different thing. Okay, I've already installed it. Then the next thing that you need to do is just go to this website, because after doing that also there is some problem in case of Windows. So I've put this link in the presentation. Go to this website, go to the last part of this page and download this file, modified Bison 2.4.1 executable. Over here you can see, I'll zoom it up. Right, this part, this file you have to download. Okay, download it, extract it. I have extracted it here. You can see a small executable file is extracted. You copy that file and then paste it into the folder that was created by you in C drive, right? C drive GNU Win32. Go to bin and just paste it over here. Okay, it will ask for replacement permission, provide the permission, and that is all, right? Now, once you are done with this, then go to command prompt, and then we will type. Firstly, we will compile our lex file, .l file. Okay, what was the name? Flex validate .l. Okay, then we will compile our yak file. So those who are using Ubuntu, they know they have to use lex command and yak command to compile the .y file. But we are using Bison in Windows, so we use Bison -d validate .y. So .l file and .y file are having the same names. It is not necessary. You can use any other name. Fine. The syntax still remains the same on Ubuntu as well. Just instead of Bison, you will use yak. Okay. Okay. Now, once that is done, we will use GCC compiler lex.yy.c space validate. Remember, we are compiling the lex.yy.c file using our C compiler, and along with that we are also compiling the yak compiler output file. What was the name? validate.tab.y, sorry, .c, right? Understood this? Clear? So now press enter. Now you can see the header files are generated on the desktop. You will be able to see. Okay, over here you can see that after compiling lex.yy.c file is created, and after compiling the .y file, you will see validate.tab.c file was created. Along with that, validate.tab.h file was also created. Understood? Now, once we run the GCC, we get this output file, a.out or a.exe file, right? Now, the only task is to run that exe file. So, a.exe, right? So, it is asking me to enter a Java declaration. So, I'll put int semicolon. So, it is a valid declaration. Okay. If I put float a and I don't put the semicolon, it gives me a sorry, I'll have to execute the code again. If I put int b and I don't put the semicolon, it is going to terminate abnormally, right? If I have to see the statement, right? Yeah. So it is providing me the error statement, error while declaring variable, a syntax error. Understood? Now, if I execute it again, if I provide any other expression, for example, int a comma b equal to 10, so it should accept it as valid declaration. So it is accepting it as valid declaration, right? Because we have specified the rules which will cover all the possibilities of variable declaration in Java. Okay, so when you define the rules, the grammar rules, you should cover all the possibilities. Understood this? Okay. Now in the presentation, I have mentioned how to run. All the commands are mentioned over here. As I told, if you are using Ubuntu, you will just mention lex over here instead of flex, and yak instead of bison. That is the only change.